Most likely to. It's an honorary award given to students judged by their classmates. Most likely to succeed, most likely to become president, most likely to be on a reality show. But likely does not mean definitive. In fact, today we're talking about people who are breaking the mold. Stories of people who never thought they'd be doing what they're doing now. When you're in high school, your entire world is right here, inside these hallways. In fact, everything and almost everyone pertinent to you is in this building. But we should remember that superlatives like most likely to aren't life achievements. And if you're like me, I learned that the way others see you doesn't necessarily direct your path to finding your own identity. Our first story is about a man who learned that lesson when his life wasn't so sweet. When Roy Castro used to walk the streets, he was intimidating. Now he's met with a friendly handshake.
How we doing, buddy?
You are the ice cream man.
I am the ice cream man.
That doesn't mean you're in the Mr. Softy truck.
I am not in the Mr. Softy truck. I am in the distribution business.
It's a long way from his former life.
I've come full circle. I'm at a place right now that I didn't imagine I would be at.
In his teens, Roy fell in with the wrong crowd, and he sold drugs. By age 20, it landed him in prison. After 10 years behind bars, Castro could have retreated to his old life.
As I'm going to do an interview and I'm getting turned down for an interview, when I get off the train in my neighborhood, I got people offer me to be part of their new organization of illegal crimes. I was very close to taking somebody up on that offer.
Instead of giving in, he found an organization built on feeding ambition, Strive.
I just think about the first day that I entered Strive at my lowest point when I couldn't even find a job. I don't got the proper verbiage. I don't got the proper paperwork. I didn't have anything, so I didn't know how unprepared I was.
We believe deeply at Strive in the notion of a second chance.
Phil Weinberg is the president and CEO of Strive. It's a nonprofit in East Harlem helping those who want to learn a job but just don't know how to get there. More than 1,000 New Yorkers per year come to this state-of-the-art facility to learn.
There's one other thing that we have to accept, and nothing's going to change until we do that. What's that? Responsibility.
So to be fair, this isn't just for previously incarcerated people?
Correct. In fact, we serve many more individuals who have not been incarcerated than who have.
And this is free for anybody to come in?
Everything we provide is completely free to the men and women who walk into our doors.
You're not only building a new workforce, but you're also improving the community.
Less people in prison, less people receiving public assistance, more people paying taxes. It's a win for the individual, and it's a win for the community as well.
Yeah, so it looks like you just got a delivery over here.
Roy is now CEO of the #1 ice cream sub-distributor in New York City, serving more than 2,000 stores in the 5 boroughs.
So whereas before I sell a drug to somebody, and today I'm selling ice cream that they bringing joy into every household, right? I'm selling happiness.
He faced a major life obstacle, but having the right mindset empowered him to leverage it to his advantage. He used his setback to set up his future.
I've taken so much from life. In my youth, I was a taker. I want to sit with a 16-year-old Roy Castro and say there's another way. How do I stop being a taker and being a giver? And that's why I do what I do.
We're back to introduce you to a man who's most likely to serve you treats with a big helping of justice. You're watching Snapshot New York. We're at Jericho High School, one of the top schools in the entire nation. A counselor's job is to help these students explore their futures. But what does that process look like? Hey, I'm Steve.
Hi, I'm Brian. The kids call me Mr. Diener, but you can call me Brian.
What is a typical day in the life of a counselor?
That's a great question. There is no typical day in the life of a counselor.
When they have identified what their joy is, how do you actuate that joy and that passion and steer them in the direction of a career?
That's awesome. Ultimately, what we attempt to do is to cultivate and foster the interests and passions of students and turn ideas into action. What's really important is to develop a plan that involves academic planning, extracurricular planning, and then authentic experiences.
Do you help keep open that door of possibility for a career and a path change?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. I say to students all the time that irrespective of the class that you're taking, you're going to develop skills that you may use at some point in your life. So everything we do is worth it. There's no such thing as a wasted question or wasted time. It's all part of a process that leads us to where we're ultimately going to go.
I love what he said about cultivating your passion, because when you find something you're passionate about, you find your happiness, your joy. In fact, that's the subject of our next story, a baker with a badge.
It has to look good for it to taste good.
We have an image of a baker, jovial.
See the smile on my face? I'm just happy to be here.
Creative, precise.
To me, it's all how you put it together.
Surrounded by inspirational sayings and meticulously maintained appliances, George Hess is at home in a kitchen. His specialty? Cupcakes. You can't look at a cupcake and not smile.
Right? I think cupcakes are the way to go.
This kitchen wouldn't be possible without the help of a woman whose image offers inspiration.
That is my grandmother. She passed away last year, and she left a little money behind, and I was able to buy a commercial oven and put this little kitchen together so I could continue on with my passion of baking.
And so he bakes. The simple process of whisking a bowl of flour puts his mind at ease.
It gets me away from the job. It allows me to think about something else.
When you're not constantly thinking about work, it almost allows your brain to reset.
You know, it's funny you say that because I use that term all the time, reset.
You're resetting from yesterday was a stressful day.
Yeah, yesterday I was almost involved in a shooting.
His creations are made to serve and devour. His real job is to serve and protect. George is the chief of police on Fire Island, and the day before we arrived almost changed his life.
I had a suspect come at me with some kind of pipe or pole over his head like a samurai warrior, and he was maybe a step away from being shot.
When you look back on days like that, does that make each and every other day past that a little sweeter?
Sure does. You know, right after that, did all the paperwork I had to do, and I came here and I baked off 100 cupcakes. I gotta tell you, I felt a lot better. De-stressing with my family. I'm gonna do this and I'll focus on work later.
For the past 20 years, George has been defending the laws of Ocean Beach, and now this community leader is part of the fabric of the town's personal events with cupcakes.
I really enjoy seeing the reaction of people when they realize that I am a police officer and I deliver such a pretty product.
He's making just a fraction of the salary of his full-time job, but his motivation isn't money.
No donuts in my police department, it's cupcakes.
His currency is smiles.
You know, with a little swirl, a little twist, a little squeeze, you got yourself a little rosette. I've known people to scrape some of the icing off, and that annoys me.
It's very offensive. Do not offend the police chief.
Don't offend me.
Right.
Just eat it.
Okay, all right. He turns eggs and flour into a fairy tale, and the results are enjoyed happily ever after. Dinner.
Find something that makes you happy outside of work. And I tell you what, I found something, and I do enjoy it.
When this woman was a corrections officer, she wouldn't have been voted most likely to own a NASCAR team, but that didn't stop her. She'll share her story next on Snapshot New York. For some kids, this is the best place in the school. The cafeteria might be your first introduction to seeing a cross-section of backgrounds coming together to break bread. Settings like this are where we develop empathy for others. Experiencing different environments, traveling to new places, trying new things, just might spark an interest into something wonderful. A few years ago, we met an entrepreneur from Staten Island who worked in a jail, created her own music label, and then her life took a turn that was even more unexpected. She became the owner of a NASCAR team. Dover International Speedway in Delaware is known as the Monster Mile. Its treacherous turns attract the best teams in the sport. One team stands out.
I don't look like everybody else, and we have some proving to do, but we're just as good.
E2 Northeast Motorsports is a developmental team in the Camping World Truck Series. breaking barriers and making history. You're the first woman of color to solely own a NASCAR team.
Yes, all from the inspiration of my babies.
Her babies are Eric and Aniko, aged 23 and 22. One is in the military, the other runs a construction company. And babies usually aren't adrenaline junkies.
They jump out of planes, they bungee jump, they cliff dive, everything that could possibly kill them and worry their poor mother to death, right. They want to do.
What she doesn't like is fun to us and dangerous. So she, you know, mothers.
Melissa has built a reputation on fairness, something she learned during her 19-year career in the Department of Corrections.
It gave me thick skin. And when you're creating change and you go against the norm, you definitely need to have thick skin for it.
Melissa's not afraid of breaking new ground, like when she created her own music label with a completely new idea, split the profits with the artist 50-50. The business model built on fairness was successful enough to give her the financial freedom to feed her son's ambition, racing. So to help them live out their dream, this mother got hooked and self-financed a team.
I love the sport. I'm a fan through and through.
I love the noise, the rush, the competition, the environment, the people. It makes my heart beat faster and faster.
The smell of the petrol is amazing. I'm infatuated with this sport.
Oh my gosh, and that rumble, you feel it in your gut. You're like, ooh, and you're waiting for the next one. Come faster.
That rush from watching her truck racing on this day was put on hold. You were unable to land sponsorship for this weekend's race, right? Yeah.
We were right there. I wish that, we had maybe another day or two and we would have been able to bring it through, but it's okay.
So you're saying the skill is there?
Absolutely.
That's not the problem?
Not at all.
It's just the opportunity?
Opportunity, sponsorship, just things like that.
There's not a lot of minorities in this sport, and we could definitely influence other people to join as well. I think it starts with the younger demographics because that's the next superstars, and I think it would be awesome to see a lot of diversity.
The paths aren't the ones that have just been blazed in front of you.
That's right.
You can create a new one.
You gotta go create them.
Yeah.
You gotta go create them, and nobody's gonna do it for you.
We're back to hear from some of our future leaders on how they see their world.
It's pretty stressful. I'm really not sure what I'm gonna do right at the moment.
I'm sure you all have different career paths, different goals. How clearly do you see your future?
Something I've learned recently is no one's career path is completely linear. So as our worldview expands and as we learn more about what opportunities are open to us, I feel like that question will sort of evolve in our answers to it too.
Recent research just showed that the average American changes careers 5 times in their entire life.
I'm definitely open to changing my path because in high school, you're only limited to so much. And in college, you have so many more opportunities, so many more things you can learn about, so many more people you're going to meet. So I think, of course, your interests might change when you have more interests that are available to you.
If you could fill in the blank here, I consider myself most likely to...
I'm most likely to do music. I'm going to change the world with music.
I'd say I'm the most likely to evolve.
Who knows if I'm going to continue down this path that I'm currently in, but at the very least, I know for sure that what I'm going to do in the future is what I love.
Truth is, everyone's path is different, and as our philosophies and our goals change, so too can our careers. In fact, sometimes it's good to do something uncomfortable just to see how your mind adjusts. But ultimately, if you follow your passion, success will follow you, even if it means you're doing something that very few have done before.
There goes the runner right at the point of attack. That's a good holding foul.
This is a typical day in the DiLorenzo living room.
And you definitely see that restriction there.
You see them turn, right? Hands outside, and then the turn.
Robin DiLorenzo, along with her fiancé Tom and her father Rich, spend most of their free time absorbing football.
I've always loved the actual game of football since I was little. I gotta be honest though, my father being an official, it never dawned on me because there were no women doing this.
But Robin followed her passion for the sport and went from cheerleader to ref, even working alongside her father.
I certainly gave her an opportunity to follow through with her desire to even try this.
Now she's gotten the call to the NFL.
Glad to see you've moved up. You're making everybody proud.
I never realized how important it was for, young girls to see representation in everywhere in life.
The NFL's officiating roster is the most diverse in history. Robin is the third woman to become a full-time official.
Line of scrimmage officials are kings and queens of multitasking. We have to see a million different little things and assess them.
For 20 years, Robin has been an official from high school to the pros. She's seen approximately 100,000 plays on the field and even more in this living room.
It's all about seeing snaps, isn't it?
Seeing snaps.
Seeing as many snaps as you possibly can see.
For sure. Live and on television.
Robin is a down judge. She makes sure everyone is lined up correctly. She watches for holding, she's responsible for marking the ball, and about 10 other things on every single play. And oh yeah, they're also the ones closest to the coaches.
I am the communication from the crew to the coach and from the coach to the crew. For the most part, it will come through me.
And we've seen how some coaches treat refs.
Perhaps it's a North Jersey situation. I have very thick skin. I come from a long line of extremely strong women.
She's found her footing in a male-dominated profession. Sarah Thomas was the first, and Robin DiLorenzo certainly won't be the last.
It's one thing to tell them you can do anything, but it's a completely different thing to actually show them. And it's only recently I've realized that, how important it is to show kids that you just keep working at something, keep trying. If you love something that much, it's worth it. It's nice to be able to show them.
Maybe you won't be the best at one thing, but maybe you'll be the best at being good at a few things. You'll become a virtuoso at being flexible, an expert at learning. I hope what we've learned is that you don't have to have one goal in mind, one finish line, that the future is in your hands and you get to decide your path, no matter what others believe you're most likely to do. Thanks for watching this episode of Snapshot New York.